All right, let's take a look at our map ban. Again, 7 map pool gives us 1 map to play on. We're going to know which one it is in just a second. There it is. Clubhouse is our decider between Rogue and Navi. Again, no overtime in EU League, unlike what you will see in APAC tomorrow morning in around 12 hours. So a lot of Siege, to watch here and there. We'll be back for that, all fresh and ready for it. Clubhouse, let's dig a bit into that. Geo, Rogue's performance has shown us that they definitely can put up the numbers when necessary. Aces and Leon have been a welcome, duo for the squad. Karjeka, great addition to the team. How do they fare on such a technical map?
I think this is the interesting thing, because if you'd have asked me this after Playday 1, where they had a little bit of a harder day, they went 2-7 versus G2 on Villa, which again is also a technical map, I would have said, okay, maybe not the best map for them. But then after Playday 2, where they played Empire on Consulate, they looked a lot more coordinated. They had a lot better understanding of what each other were doing at various points in the map and at various times. And I think that after that, they look a lot better equipped to tackle a map like Clubhouse, where they require a bit more coordination. They have banned it twice so far, so this is the first time that they, of course, haven't banned it. So I'm very interested to see how that will work out, and if they do feel like they have synergized enough to succeed in this situation.
And what about Navi's preparation for this one, James? Again, very technical map.
Yeah, mixed performances on Clubhouse in the past from Na'Vi, and I think that they have the technical knowledge to make it work. I mean, all these teams are at a Pro League level because they know how to use their util. The hard breach is super important on Clubhouse, but they did slip one game against Chaos in the last Pro League season, so Na'Vi does have to be careful. I mean, no doubt there were some issues there, but there's been a roster change. Things have changed a little bit, but I do want to bring up that last time these two teams played against each other, Na'Vi actually came out on top on Villa, 7-3 victory in the Pro League. So Na'Vi does have that edge here, despite that was at Rogue's top form during their Pro League Blitz, where they did insane. So I definitely think that Na'Vi has a solid chance here.
Yeah, well, let's take a look at what people think about this matchup, though. As usual, we'll bring that up. You can vote on things at R6 Esports EU, 50% for Rogue, 38% for Na'Vi, and 12% for Draw. Honestly, not too surprised that it's such a high percentile for draws, but let's get into game. Clubhouse, Rogue v Na'Vi. All yours, casters.
Thank you very much, Mr. Milosh. We're back once again. Nothing's changed. Fooled you well and truly. But of course, it is a different game. It's not going to be another 7-1. Fingers crossed in this case. Na'Vi versus Rogue. Too late now. The words have left my mouth. Let's see if it happens, hey? No, let's be real, though. In this game, I think with the way we saw Na'Vi play against G2, I'm quite excited to see how they shape up against Rogue. Rogue's still a team that, in the last few games, haven't been maybe as solid as some would have anticipated. They had a bit of success last week, and we were thinking, you know what? Maybe it's starting to come together. Maybe these boys are starting to look like something special, but I have no doubt it's still going to take a couple more weeks until we really see them fitting into the mold that, of course, the recently announced coaches. We had Rousey join them, we saw Arcus join as an analyst, and trying to build them into. I'm just hoping there is enough about them today to be able to bring a fight against Na'Vi. Let's see how this operator ban phase goes, Hap.
Yeah, that's going to be the important one. Let's see what operators will be taken out by both Rogue and Na'Vi, as that will shape a map like Clubhouse drastically. If we see a Thatcher and Maverick kind of banned, suddenly the defense side is even more favored. Instead, Rogue is going for that Capital, a good old Capital, which makes it, well, a bit easier to ban the trick, as otherwise they might shoot it through either garage, through that, that side window, or they just shoot it from the actual CCTV window through the wall. Either would work, but now he decides to go for a Hibana ban. That's an interesting one. Something we haven't seen in a long time, really, in Clubhouse.
You normally see one band away, but very rarely do you see two. In this case, I think more the same towards the Hibana, while it makes the downstairs attack a little bit harder. It's very easy to be able to get the hatches open with a Hibana when you have the 3x Kairos on side, whereas generally for a Maverick you can afford to get 2 open, meaning if they are going to run the Thermite as well, at least one of those exothermic charges is going to have to be dedicated towards a hatch, assuming of course they want all 3 open. Next couple of bans is going to be the one. That's an interesting one. That's a BDS special coming out there. Clearly, they've looked at BDS and gone, 371s, what is the secret sauce? It's not Shaiko? Nah, no way. Bride? Nah, can't be him. were my ban. That's exactly what it is. And that's what we're seeing come away here. It's going to make for a really interesting game because you're going to see more grenades flying now. You only have the Jaeger on side. It's not going to be so easy to control things like the smokes, like the frags, like the flashes or stuns, if you want to call them that, burning out those ADSs. This should be an interesting game for attackers, if nothing else, especially because initially I was going to say, surely we see a Thermite come in this lineup somewhere, and that's exactly who Doki switched across to.
All right.
They baited it.
Coming in.
The Legion switch because they thought there'd be a Monty coming.
Nice.
Very good.
It's a smart one. Let's go. So we see the response from Rogue, but Doki going off of it straight away. Not pushing through with that Monty pick and deciding to go for the second hard breach, which is kind of a logical response in my opinion, as Clubhouse is like logically seen as a double hard breach map. You need to bring 2 here if you want to have success on your attacks, and otherwise you're just basically pushing yourself through one choke point that you can create.
We have seen some teams, especially I believe in the APAC League last week when we saw Electrify playing against Scars. I want to say, I can't confirm absolutely, that we did see only one hard breacher being brought in a couple of the rounds. We kind of at the time acknowledged it as being quite risky, that if you lost your hard breacher, you were done for, because this map can be very, very punishing to those that don't bring along at least a couple of hard breachers. Some teams even look to bring 3, but it does give you more flexibility in terms of what your attacking lineup can look like. Already seeing here a spawn peak coming out of Leon Gids. He's going to find saves nice and early. That Zofia being removed. We spoke about the lack of those magnets potentially being a big help for them. Well, with that now being gone and out the way, it does mean they're going to lose quite a bit of utility coming out of saves.
Yeah. The only way they're going to be able to deal with these Evil Eyes right now are by tossing in these grenades that Kendra has available to him on that Maverick. Spanix is opening up with that buff. It's going to be Kendra to open up that CCTV wall. Basic stuff to come down right here. I don't see any vertical angle to try and contest what is happening right here. Something we saw Empire do perfectly against Virtus Pro with a mission who they knew of. He was going for an upside down repel. Verticals were in place to take care of it. But right now, Kendra going to be able to dispatch the entirety of the wall. At least.
Almost.
Almost. Just creating a little bit of a line of sight onto the bottom part of things. As Leon gets tagged up a bit more, but it's going to be aces to get the kill to Doki.
Doki of all people as well. I'm pretty sure they were relying on him to be the one to get construction open for them when they switched over and went for the attack from that angle. And you can see Leon and Aces now charging up main stairs. The roaming duo, the Terrors of this game, dare they say. The Terrors of Clubhouse, we shall name them after today, have gone and caused enough damage. Doki being missing out here is going to really hurt Na'Vi and force him to have to go for potentially a very one-dimensional attack through the breach. Normally you want at least Garage on side as well, or to have the breach in from construction open at the same time. Unfortunately here, they only have that first one open, and the rest, well, it's going to be a bit of a guessing game for them, as we're into 1 minute 15 seconds left, and I'm worried here. One-directional attacks on this map never go well.
Oh, definitely not. You want to go from, well, double sides. You want to go from both construction and either garage or right here on the balcony as the first gas canister is being popped up. That drone almost got caught off right there by the electronics that were placed. He's going to be able to get the information on, I believe that is the smoke player indeed, of Corey. Be aware of where he is, however. They don't have the information on the mezzanines, and that is kind of important to know. Right now they do. They found out someone is still onto the garage. Because of that, they're not going to be free to go for their execute onto this site, especially not since they're 2 men down. It's going to be up to Nello to try and contest this Legion of Rips to try and take him out. As soon as he succeeds doing so, the plank could potentially go down, but it's going to be Aces to get the kill onto Panix. Kendra, in the meantime, will be running in, getting 1 kill to start things off. He's trying to go for more. He will be hitting that shot beautifully, as he now is going to be pushing even more aggressive. But that was a bit too much of what he could do and could handle right there, and leaves it all up to Nello in the last 5 seconds of this round. Nello needs to make something amazing happen. He will get 1, but it's no time for the other 2. And with that, it's going to be Rogue to win round number 1 of the back of time.
You kind of see how Na'Vi got a bit lost there in the mid-round. I think they didn't anticipate losing Doki in that manner where they couldn't get anything else opened up. And kind of spent 45 minutes to 60 seconds deliberating what is the play, running around on drones, watching the odd angle, hoping something would come out of nothing. And ultimately it came on Nello to try and make that play inside a garage with about 35 seconds left on the clock. It was a little too late is the best way I can describe it. Let's head downstairs now on a magical journey down into Church and Arsenal. Going to see those same 2 hard breaches coming out, and hopefully for the side of Na'Vi, we don't see any kind of aggressive roam coming out of the side of Rogue. The last thing they want here is to find those hard breaches getting picked off early and having no way to open up these hatches. Otherwise, it's going to be a Hail Mary push down main stairs or through blue.
As we quickly see that spawn peak come into play right there in Nello to get 1. But it was too late already. There was no time anymore for him to either get the diffuser down or get those last 2 kills. And as a matter of fact, Rogue managed to get their round in, start things off, which you would assume they would on the defense side of things. And I really like what Leon Gids is doing right here, reinforcing that jacuzzi to force that if Na'Vi wants to actually go from there, enter that building, they need to force one of the hard breaching utility on it. They either need to waste most of their cans or one exothermic charge, and it's not that valuable. You don't really want to do that. You want to keep all your hard breach to open up hatches, to open up walls, and especially dirt tunnels. So is Na'Vi going to be able to do that? Are they going to be able to actually expend their hard breach material utility? I don't know, but I don't think they will.
This is an interesting thought. We see an SSG roam really coming through on this map from teams like, you can probably guess it, SSG. Here, what you'd normally see is Toes roaming on the top floor would drop down through the hatches and get themselves back to site. You couldn't then return back upstairs. With an Oryx in the mix, he can, of course, go jumping up hatches. So if he can hold himself along the ground floor for long enough here, he could go hopping up through hatches and start disrupting the side of Na'Vi once they start coming in for a push. And this is the beautiful thing about Oryx. Normally, teams will take control of the top floor and clear downwards. With an Oryx, he can somehow, I wonder how, jumping up through hatches, get behind you and start killing you once you feel that you've already cleared out a certain area of the map. That's when you start dictating things like Nomad to be brought along to make sure he can't follow you. It's going to be tough, is probably the best way I can describe it, but even without making use of that hatch play, we've already got Leon finding a kill before Doki equalizes things out, but not before nearly dying himself.
Yeah, Doki taking a lot of damage right there, and I kind of want to put out, they did indeed open up on that little jacuzzi wall right there. Na'Vi using some of their fuel, not too much, and some of the skeleton key ammo of Panics to make sure they have that control. Well, might be some time wasted right here in the eyes of Rogue, as they're not really roaming anymore. Of course, we had Leon Gids available. That Oryx, however, was never put into a position where he could jump up these hatches. So in the end, definitely wasn't really that necessary on the likes of Na'Vi to open up. But they're now trying to descend the stairs, hoping to not be picked up by a C4 or anything like that. As both of these players, both Nello and Kendra right now pushing through, whilst Doki is trying to struggle with actually opening up on the kitchen right there. As he is quite low, he is being challenged. Smoke canister is now being tossed out as well with just 50 seconds on the clock, Des.
I have to try and go quite aggressive here down through Moto, and we've seen teams get themselves real shoehorned in here by things like smoke canisters. If they're not careful, could yet come back to sting them later into the round. But Doki's hugging up to that wall. You could kind of see the yellow coming through the wall, so it was a bit of a risk to even go for that in the first place. Clearly didn't expect to take damage, but ultimately he will be, and that could come back to cost them big in this round. I don't want to say he's a problem child here, but Doki in the last round died in a very inconvenient time. It's come through at exactly the same here when they really needed this church wall open.
No, they definitely did for the final execute, which is now going to have to happen without it. 10 seconds left on the clock. It's going to be Kendra to try and move in, but he will be found by the prone. Well, Smoke right there with that M59 shotgun. It's only up to Nello and saves right now. Are they going to be able to find the players necessary to get it? Probably not. The time runs out yet again. And Rogue will be able to get a second clock on that round history overlay that we have. Something I don't think we've actually seen before in the UL.
I mean, this has got to
Especially
feel...
twice in a row.
It's got to feel strangely reminiscent for the side of Na'Vi. Back when they qualified as M&M, they played on Clubhouse, and it was actually Nello playing with a shotgun inside of Church, who I believe found himself 4 kills in the final round, fighting against those pushing in from Moto with a shotgun that got them through. So they are all too familiar with that angle and with that kind of play. Doesn't mean they're going to be able to respond to it. There's only so many vertical levels you can look at as well as angles once you push into a room. Unfortunately, that one wasn't there. So it's an awkward start for Na'Vi so far, but just like we saw earlier on for Team Empire, it takes a couple of rounds sometimes to warm into a game, so let's not judge them too harshly. We're giving this third round now, we're going to yet another site, and then see if going into rounds 4 to 6, if they can kind of flex back over a little bit and find themselves feeling a bit more comfortable.
Rogue, right now, 0-2. However, Na'Vi did manage to, especially in the first round, come quite close. even though they didn't really manage to open up what they wanted to. We'll maybe argue that if they have 10 to 20 seconds extra, they might be able to actually get a round in on the likes of Na'Vi. But it also kind of proves the fact that there seems to be an issue with the time management they have. It's just Rogue able to stall them for long enough and then put them in a big enough disadvantage to make sure they cannot just snap their fingers and get in, forcing them to play more passively and thus naturally run out of time. Corey right here probably being supported by his teammate on that camp and will be going for a run out as soon as one is far enough to go for the kill. Beautiful headshot. Doki taking clean off. Doki is not going to be opening up any walls today.
Oh, Doki, why does this keep happening to you, you poor man, child, whatever you want to call yourself, I'm not sure. But that's the third round now where, before his impact can be made on the Thermites, he is getting himself picked off. It is so... I kind of feel bad for him, but also feel like it's slightly self-inflicted, so I don't really know how to feel. I'm conflicted as a person about how I should feel about this, but it is not helping Na'Vi's matters at all. This round already is no doubt going to feel a bit difficult for them. Now, there's some arguments we put in here that maybe Thermite in this site onto gym and bedroom isn't the most important. Like, you can get away with taking control of the walls they've done now to opening up Jacuzzi Wall with the Maverick, starting to fight your way forwards. The biggest worry right now, where you'd normally see a Habana come into play, is getting open this bathroom wall that lies on the other side of the reinforced wall just across from the hatch. If they can't get this open, they're in a very, very blind spot trying to push inside of Gym here and trying to go for a plant. It makes the round very, very predictable for the side of Rogue.
Yeah, the thing is, right, you can still open up with a Maverick, but you're kind of slow on doing so. It's not just quickly put down a charge and run out and detonate or just shoot them from a distance. No, you actually have to beat it for a solid 10-20 seconds to open up the wall you need opened up. And you still need soft breach to come in. And like, you're just so long static on this one position that someone could just simply come in with a flank or try and make something happen right here. As Aces is going to get downed, at least they managed to find some form of response onto Rogue so far. Stalling game. The question is, are they aware of the fact that he has been downed? His stuns are now being tossed in. Will surely follow up soon with Panics trying to go for a peek in. I think he knows, but I don't think he's feeling safe and comfortable yet jumping in, due to the fact he knows that the cross is being held and someone is directly on his hard left as soon as he does. White swinger Corey is actually going for the pickup. That's quite risky. Is he going to be knowing? No, he does not know. Panics isn't aware, but the plane goes down in the meantime. Nello able to get that one through. Still going to be counted. Yes, it is actually to get counted. Ritz is going to be downed. Is, however, not going to be secured as of yet. And it's only Kendrew left right now in a 1-on-2 situation with Rips being down. So if they manage to go for a pickup, that would be great. But as a C4 right there gets wasted, Kendra will feel a bit more safe going about this one, secures that kill, but now they know exactly where he is, of course. He's going to be trying to challenge out on these stairs right here, gets that kill as well. He is going to be able to get for a potential one-on-one right here. He's going to be trying to hide himself and tuck himself in as best as he can, right behind the reinforced wall right there. And Aces needs to go for the push right now. He's spotting out that diffuser case right there. He's going to be able to put some shots in and eventually we'll get it. Rogue able to just clutch this one out. It got so close right there, but in the end, Aces to pull it through as he saw the lunchbox right there sticking out, able to go in for that headshot.
It's a couple of rounds now where Kendrew's really stepped up and started fragging. And we were speaking actually at the start of the show about the players that we want to look at coming into each game. Who are the ones to highlight? And Kendrew was in the conversation because in the past, we've always talked about him as the reliable support. If things went south, you could always rely on Kendrew to do something. He had a good number of 1vx's last season. I believe he was joint second in Pro League Season 11. So to my mind now, what they're saying is, well, you know what? He's really good at clutches. Why aren't we putting him at the front here and saying, you know what, Kendrew, go and kill people? And he has been doing situation. They're still down at a place where they're at 3-0 down, but Kendrew's trying, man. It's just that Doki keeps getting so unlucky at the start of these rounds and getting picked off. They need him to be alive for a bit longer later into these rounds.
Yeah, Doki needs to be a bit more passive in how he takes care of his exiting spawn. As you can see here yet again, the camera was being tossed out right before, a teammate was on it, give the call, and all you have to do is just run out, get the clean headshot. This shot of Kendrew basically gave away his position, but he perfectly played this out, actually. He managed to get the 1v1 on the stairs, rotate through straight away. It's just that he had to go for the plant, as he had no clue where Aces was at that moment in time. Could have hunted him, but it was too big of an area around him to all cover off. And all he could really do is try and find a reinforced wall, go for a plant right behind it, and hope that Aces is not going to be in time to actually cancel it. And with that force of 1v1 in favor of you. But well, 0-3 right now for Rogue. The rotation has been reset, Des. And that means we're back at CCTV cash.
Yeah, this is where if this first round goes as badly as it did last time for the side of Na'Vi, I start to have worries that we'll see a 6-0 half, because they've gone through each of these sites once now. They've seen what Rogue are doing. They know what tripped them up the first time round. They need to be correcting those mistakes. I believe it was Sage who died very early on in the last round, followed shortly after by Doki, that really led it into a awkward 3 versus 5, where the only angle of attack that Na'Vi had was through the main breach. So there's something in here around to do if they can take control of Garage or if they can get someone inside of construction. The big thing for me is do it as a team. Don't find someone roaming off by themselves, because losing 2 members without a trade coming through is one of the worst things you can have going on for you. I just saw Doki throwing flash up inside of construction, so it is absolutely the point that he's trying to focus on right now. A bit of a rip come out, a grenade flies over, but no one finds anything. Is Ace is trying to find something over the wall here. Ooh, nope. Thought it might be a frag. There's the C4. Ooh, nope.
It's
no
stuck.
damage.
Wrong side of the wall. Could have been a double kill if it just landed right behind. He could have picked up both Kindred and Panics, but in the end, didn't really work out. And we got a good point to actually address right here. Doki is still alive. That gives him the opportunity to still rotate around and go for a construction site take. As they now finally open up that first one, now they need to expand to construction and go for that 2-dimensional take we have been talking about before. You don't want to just focus on one of these walls. You need to really get them both open. Not give a single safe space of the defenders to play in, except for maybe red stairs or maybe the mezzanines if you don't take garage control.
Well, they're in a spot where everyone is alive at least, so this is the best opportunity it feels like Na'Vi should find. They've kept most of their drones intact as well, so not looking to go too crazy with the drone work at this point, the same way that we saw Secret trying to do against BDS earlier and finding them chewed up. At least here, Na'Vi have managed to keep that intel alive. So the dream exists as we go into the final 60 seconds. They've decided at this stage in the round they want to get themselves control of Garage. They've got to get rid of Rips up here before they try and make a play, because that window that leads in towards the actual site itself needs to be kept clear. This time around, it's going to be Nello finding the opening kill. I believe that is the first round for them, and a great grenade sales from Kendrew. This guy is on one today. 6 kills for himself here inside 4 rounds.
Beautiful toss grenade in there. First, actually, the actual drone came in from Panix, who now has his body removed from him. As Kurzeka able to bring one back on the board right here for Na'Vi. As we're now slowly counting down, the last 20 seconds will be on the clock. Surely soon this execute comes in, but first Doki will be able to put in one more exothermic charge. They seem to be going from the mezzanines right now, getting right behind the service stack. Kendrick going in for that plant. There's going to be one still on the roof to counter out the jump out that Rogue wanted to attempt, but the planter somehow has been denied. Doki is on 1 HP. It's a 2-on-2 situation right here. One is going to be on the side. Are they going to be able to stall it? No, they're not. One goes down. There goes the return from Doki, but he falls straight after. It's Garjeka to get his triple kill right here. And it's going to be Rogue to force it into 0-4. After Na'Vi, they went for an actual execute, but they lost too many members trying to hold the angles. It was Rogue able to frag out and show a bit more of that super team they have been called time and time again, but weren't able to show just yet.
My heart bleeds for Na'Vi there, because they've done almost everything right, even up leading into the final 45 seconds or so. They killed the player on catwalk. They got control of breach. Everything was as it should have been. They go into a spot where it's like, great, we are in a 1 versus 3. We're getting the plant down. There's no way we can lose this. And then Karjaka does what any player, it feels like, in these top EUL teams is capable of doing. He can literally go 1vx and win a round out like that. It swings both ways. We saw Doki doing exactly the same to Secret in their game in Oregon last week. It is unfortunate. It's 4-0 to Rogue against Na'Vi. I never thought I'd be saying that coming into this map.
Definitely not. I expected this one to be a bit closer as well, but as we mentioned before, Doki not really having the best time of his life right now, being basically taken out early 3 times already, not being able to open up the walls he wanted to. Now he finally did. He almost managed to get the plan down. Eventually did actually manage to get the plan down, but at that moment in time they were already on both sides of him. There was little to no chance he would be able to clutch that one out. He had a valiant attempt, but just too slow on the 180 right there to actually get that second pre-fire through. And with that, Rogue now find themselves at 0-4. Whilst 4 rounds is basically the minimum amount of rounds you would like to have from your defense side, isn't it, Des?
I mean, it's playing into that old story. And to be fair, this is something I said on broadcast last week. In fact, no, I believe it was in one of the tournaments I did yesterday. I was saying that, you know, it's easy to come into a map and say, oh, well, this map generally goes 4-2 because it's defender-sided. But then you look at teams like Crazy back in the Challenger League, and they would win most of their attacking rounds on maps like Clubhouse because they specifically worked towards being able to win rounds on attack and would always choose to start an attack on Clubhouse. It's a wild thought, but some teams really do engineer themselves that way. And the thing is, that kind of breaks apart the expectations that we have for most maps, is that actually a map isn't guaranteed to go 4-2, and sometimes it's unfair to say, oh, okay, well, it ended 3-3, it should have been 4-2. What the teams do, the prep they come into a game with, the quality of the teams themselves can have such a massive swing on the outcome of a game that sometimes it's hard to lean towards saying it's defender or attacker sided. The one thing I will give to this game, though, is that with the hard breaches dying earlier rather than later, at least in Doki's case, it is definitely giving a massive swing over to the defender setups.
Yeah, definitely. And Rogue looking to get 1 or 2 rounds, potentially more out of this one, as Doki about to get pre-fired right here, but the MP5 of Leon gets will be able to get 1 or 2 bullets into him, but not enough to deal a significant amount of damage. We're basically tied up on the damage count, both Leon gets and Doki, but in the meantime, Corey actually, I believe he got a grenade thrown after him from Kenru as he is returning with smoke canisters, but still 2 left, 1 minute 40 on the clock. You don't want to be using them too quickly now, as Doki goes down yet again.
Oh, man, it happens time and time again. It was actually Leon slinking up behind him on this Oryx, who mentioned just how much of a terror he can be. Every team you speak to will tell you that he is an absolute nightmare to play against, especially if you haven't got a flank drone on it, if you haven't got an air jab ready. He will just jump up behind you and give you a massive headache. Nello's going to give some kind of redemption over to the team here, bringing one back over, but it's still a lot of work to do in a 3 versus 4 here with only about 60 seconds left on the clock. Leon's going to strike again, this time round bringing down saves. Him and Doki have really struggled to get into this game, as has Panic so far. It's a lot of it riding on Nello and Kendru's shoulders. Speaking of which, a couple of kills coming in for Nello in this round. The other, I believe, went the way of Kendru. It's a 2 versus 2, but they are the ones on the attack here, and despite what I said earlier, it does get quite difficult. Kendru makes it a second, so 2 kills apiece for the old boy support duo from the UK. What more can they do here? Once Croatia really should clarify that in Nilo's case, but Karjak is going to find a kill onto Kendru. This puts us in a 1 versus 1. You can see Surely through the shield here. He has an idea of what's going on. Surely should be able to spray this one. He misses it out, but he has enough time to waste here. He can now go assume control of what's upstairs inside a kitchen or above the hatches themselves and try to find him as he tries to push his way out here. This could be a very awkward 1 versus 1. And right now, Nilo is the one with the diffuser and looking to go for a plant somewhere.
Oh no, Kuzeka read it perfectly. Nello picked it up. Kuzeka was aware. He drops down, knows that this is the only rotation they can go through. Just goes through a little bit of a pre-fire right there. Winning that round now, puts Rogue onto 5. And that is going to be very detrimental for Na'Vi. And now going back to Gym Bedroom. That one was maybe even the closest that we have seen from them. Even though this one got a bit closer, of course, but will no longer be played. So this is going to be their chance, their opportunity to actually get a round in right here against Rogue. Gym Bedroom. Are they able to? Like, Des, do you think, like, it came down to Kendra a lot the last time around? Like,
yeah, it came down pretty much entirely to Kendra last time round, and admittedly, the last couple of rounds, Doki's done a better job, dare I say, of not dying super early in the rounds. I'll give him that much. It is an unusual role for Doki. We've seen him normally be on these more fragging-based operators, of course, when they used to have Citizen on the team, who have now has moved over to G2. They used to play a more lethal, aggressive entry duo together, whereas here he's kind of switched roles entirely and is playing more on that hard supporting role. Which is a fair point, because if you speak to Doki, he likes to be the one with the ideas. He's the positive force behind the team. No doubt he's doing a little bit of calling for them. I understand that Panics is their primary IGL, but being in the supportive role, you can make a lot of calls for your team. It makes sense to see him playing here on the Thermite in that capacity. The issue is it's not really getting the results that they're after. It could be a 6-0 half, and to be honest with you, Hap, how things have gone so far, I can believe it can happen. However, let's not forget that 2 of those rounds did come down to a clutch from Karjaka. This does mean there is still some room here where Na'Vi could still take something. We could be looking here at a 3-2, potentially ending at a 3-3, if Karjaka just wasn't so goddamn good.
Yeah, definitely Karjaka just perfectly reading out the situation twice, especially in those 1vx situations, eventually getting them in. With that, putting Rogue on that 0-5, and that shows that Rogue have made the right choice, pulling in that player, as he has been oh so valuable so far. Right now, they need to focus on getting these walls open as soon as possible, as Kendru is looking to be at the jacuzzi, I believe, and the EMP will be tossed in, allowing Doki to open up right here into CCTV. It's going to be allowing him to put some extra pressure onto the cache. Most likely his second like termite charge, exothermic, will be used there as well. If that's the case, they're using a lot of utility right there to get control of CCTV cache. Well, I believe there's only one player of Rogue in there to try and deny it for as long as possible. No, his second one is being used onto construction directly. Maybe that's how they would like to put pressure onto Rogue, just from two sides.
In my mind, a lot of it just comes down to knowing that these things are open. It's like when you hit a window open on something like Coastline, for example. You just fear that someone is going to appear at it from the attacking side, or even from the reverse can sometimes happen. When those things are open, it does mean there's a bit of pressure, even if it's false pressure being exerted, and it should restrict Rogue at least a little bit more. It's not going to restrict that opening kill coming out of Rips, though. Kendra has been taken out, and as the leading fragger for this team, you wonder where the frags are going to come from in this half, or in this round, sorry, to close this half out.
Definitely Kendra, even though he's not really the main fragger right here, you would expect it to be saves in the current role. Still able to put at most on the board. And as Doki right now has no exothermics left, there's going to be no way for them to open up in this bathroom wall right here. As saves, I believe, opens up an extra rotation with his impact into the gym. Not completely sure. No, it takes out the Maestro chem that was placed there. That will allow them to potentially go for a plant a bit later on, as Doki, I don't know if he's trying to recover the diffuser, but if he is, he's kind of failing at that because he's back outside. So I would only assume that he's trying to get control right here at Jim slowly, but still afraid that someone might be below him, below in pool. Just able to respawn any second now. Kajeka picking up his second kill right here for Rogue. Onto next is going to be Doki, however, to respond. Finally taking down Leon Gitz. Nasus, however, does not sit still. It's going to be a 2-3 situation as we're counting down the last 30 seconds on the clock. Make that a 2-2. It's Kajeka and Corey left alive. And, well, who else than Kajeka do you want to have in this lineup right now? Where is Corey indeed? Are you below? Are you coming from construction? Yes, he is indeed. But that might be the good choice right here. As Kajeka picks up one. The last one's right in the bathroom. Kajeka, you're just too good for this Nazi team. There's nothing they can do. There is no time left. Only 9 seconds left on the clock. The crossfire is there. They peak on contact. It's Corey with the final one. It's Rogue with a flawless half. And this is surely demotivating for Navi here.
It's so frustrating because there are flashes of brilliance in these rounds. The first 3 didn't go well at the start or the middle or really at the end, to be honest with you. The next 3 looked like they were starting to swing back the other way, that actually Navi were managing to keep themselves all alive earlier on. They were starting to get position for and execute. But when you see things like that come through, where you just find yourself in a spot where Kajeka for the 3rd time has literally dragged his team towards the finish line saying, guys, this is ours. You have to ask the question is, what more can Navi really do? The one thing they can do is go over to the defensive side and start out downstairs inside Church and Arsenal. I'm worried here. If we see Navi get 7-0'd, this will be a very disconcerting moment for them. I would like to find out from Doki later on, to be fair, why it is that he's playing on the Thermite, if it is that IGL kind of level of wanting to make calls to the team, or maybe they've got some issues internally around communication. I'm not sure, but no doubt there will be some reason behind why we're seeing him play a role that we aren't used to seeing him on all that much.
Well, I know that what I'm going to do if it's going to be a 7-0 or 7-1 to come in, I'm definitely going to be blaming you for the caster curse, because you kind of mentioned it before. I don't think this is going to be a 7-1. Surely it will not be. I told you, don't say it, but...
I ain't saying a word. Nothing.
Here we are. Nothing anymore. You're banned for making predictions right before the cast starts, dude. Oh well.
It's kind of my job when I'm on the desk. You got better be scared because next
when
game
you're
I'm
on the desk, it is right, but not when you're casting. Don't do it then, because you're leaking the script as you're bad at keeping secrets.
I got to stitch my mouth together, I think. Yeah. Shut me up.
Oh well. Navi downstairs in the basement. Are they going to be able to get their round in and maybe start the comeback? Make sure they can go for a reverse sweep. Be interesting to see.
We're seeing saves on the Oryx, and I'm like, well, it's similar to what we saw coming out of Rogue early when Leon was the one playing on the Oryx. They left these hatches soft. I think here his plan is to roam between the ground floor and also getting himself upstairs. He finds a nice opening kill onto Leon and saying, Leon, have a taste of your own medicine, buddy. You were doing this to us far too often earlier on. This is a bit of humble pie being served across to you. Kendry's going to find a second kill, and Corey is gone. So just like Navi's fate earlier on, 2 are going to be down early on for the side of Rogue, and the wind should be taken out of their sails.
And definitely Doki, however, has been taken down. He was on the roam, has been punished for it. Taken down in the bathroom. He's Rogue still alive, though. They have 3 members remaining. They still have some exothermics to work with as well. They're going to be using Hazel to the motorcycle hatch, and that might give away the fact that they could be going for a motorcycle / church wall take, as that is really only the only thing they can still do with 3 people remaining. If you look at how Na'Vi has distributed the players, the only logical thing to do. Kenru is the only one really located there. Saves is in blue, but a simple pre-fire could be ending his life, especially with this drone. They're getting out all this valuable information about his location right here. Maybe they could pinch him from both blue and from the... Oh, wait, there's castle barricades right there, so Kusaka has to drop if they want to open these up, otherwise motorcycle completely unplayable.
Another spanner thrown in the works for the offense of Rogue. He saw the drones on site just a second ago, mind you. We'll give them a bit of intel, much needed one potentially at that, to make sure they're in a comfortable spot to be able to drop in and start causing some trouble for the members that are playing around Church. They have one playing inside of Blue, one playing up towards Armory, and then one actually playing inside of Church itself. So surely on the side of Rogue here, they're aware of where those 3 members are, and there's also now one playing at the back of Armory as well. So a bit of a spread coming out here. I guess you're looking towards saves and potentially a late round push up blue stairs here, which might cause a bit of a headache, especially if Rips is going to spend most of his time sat up here on drones. Down 50 seconds, though, we've had a bit of a lull for the last 30 or so. Expect to see it get pretty spicy in these closing 45 seconds, though, as that C4 narrowly misses out onto Karjaka. Won't quite finish him off. Here you go, the castle barricades.
Yeah, castles are being opened up. Only 36 seconds left on the clock. As Kenru's just holding off. He knows he has this little opening right here he can peek through. He has the angle. He has the opportunity to try and, deny him a bit more. The super shorty coming in. First one isn't going to be able to get the kill because Jacka managed to get the trade in. 2 and 3. We're counting down pre-fire onto saves. Gets it down. It's a 2 and 2 right now. No way Rogue is going to be able to actually get this clutch in. All they have to do is just go for the cover right now because Grips is going for the plant. They're going for the pickup, of course, onto saves. Why not? Why wouldn't they? As you basically put yourself into an advantageous position if you do so. It's going to be safe to finally get taken out by Rips. It's Penix to go down. Rogue is going to be able to do this. Potentially, it's just Nello left in a one-on-one situation against Kurzak. Is it going to be the 7-0 to come in? Impacts are going to be non-impactful. It's just Nello with his LMG. Is he going to be able to do it? He needs to peek wide. 20 seconds on the clock. He needs to go for it. He gets the kill. It's going to be the round in. Not going to go for that pickup just to be sure. But Na'Vi is going to be getting 1 round on the board, at least to start off with. But Rogue, they came so close. Almost bringing it in right there. Just 1 shot was all they needed.
Comes down to a 1v1 again. So uncomfortable. But as I said earlier on, Kendra and Nelu. I always say this. I always get mixed up sometimes between these two. The names just seem to merge into one because together they make a solid backline on this Na'Vi. That's how you do a save, by the way. They're really good together as a backline on this Na'Vi lineup. Big to keep them in the game, at least here momentarily. When I go to CCTV and Cash on the upstairs. Even with that being quite one-dimensional from the side of Rogue, I thought, mainly going for their moto push in. No one really trying to flank around blue. No one coming in through dirt. No one really worrying about kitchen. That came very, very close. I do wonder that if we see a multifaceted attack coming out of Rogue here, if Na'Vi will be able to adapt.
If Na'Vi will be available to adapt. Here's the question. We are now going to CCTV Cash, and, even though Rogue were basically 2 men down very early on, they still managed to bring it into a 1-on-1, 1-on-2 after plant situation. And it's really not something you would like to have against you if you were Na'Vi. And it definitely will shatter their confidence a bit. Yes, they managed to win it eventually after the 1v1 from Nello. It shouldn't have come that far. That plant should never have happened. You shouldn't have gone down in a situation like that. And Rogue is going to be able to potentially benefit from this as we're going to CCTV Cash now.
And guess what? Doki gets to play his favourite. He's on the Jaeger. Doki gets to be let free and go and cause some trouble. Now, back in the UK, we always used to love watching Team Secret face off against M&M Gaming because you had Doki on one side and Leon on the other. And for the longest time, pretty much all of 2018, I want to say, and even into the start of 2019, we saw Team Secret beating them time and time again whenever it came down to the UK Premiership Finals at LAN. And then something changed in the middle of last year where the boys started winning. They started beating everyone. They won CL, they won Pro League, they went on to win the Pro League Finals. Everything there was for this team to win, Na'Vi went on to go and win it as M&M, and then found themselves getting picked up in the middle of the year by Na'Vi, where of course they went on to win Pro League and Tokonami not too long after. So there's a bit of rivalry built up here between these two players. So who is the big fragger in the UK? one way to show it, I think, Doki, is to find yourself above Leon on the scoreboard. Right now, only a kill behind, mind you, so a quiet game for the pair of them, I think it's fair to say.
Basically, both not really able to find the true marks yet. Dolly and Gids maybe not as unlucky as Doki has been over the course of especially the first half, where Doki managed to put himself into unlucky situations time and time again. I think we can just say it like that. We don't have to go into detail. Just unlucky kind of situations time and time again.
Just unlucky, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Those first 3 rounds definitely were right. Like, I guess it's a. You can literally have a drone on every single doorway in the map just to ensure that no one gets killed, right? But it wastes so much time. So these are the kind of sensible risks that you sometimes take. Panics, mind you, speaking about Doki a lot, is yet to find a single kill for himself this game, as Leon's going to get the opening frag onto him. It's been tough. And admittedly, he's been playing a bit of a supportive role. He's been playing things like the Buck earlier on that we saw, more there for the soft destruction and often prone to being C4'd. Very rarely was. I don't think anyone got C4'd in that first half of the game, but hasn't managed to yet find himself a kill. So it's tough being Panics in this game.
Definitely, Hispanic's not able to find a true mark at all, only having 2 assists as well, and of course he has some utility that has been used. Oh, it was a Valkyrie camera right there. Leon Gibbs just taking that one down. Able to give some information in stock, now no longer. There's Kozeka going for the quick bolo peaks, as people used to call them, C4 being ripped. But it's not being tossed, not being released as of yet from Sage. He's just waiting and holding. In the meantime, it's Rips that will be taking down Nello. He is the big benefactor, the big clutch factor of Na'Vi. Last round taken out. He was the one that kept him alive. Nastoki now gets taken down by Lee and Gids as well. And Ace is jumping in. This is surely going to be troublesome right here for the likes of Na'Vi. He's going to be shot in his back right here. Sage taken out by Aces. It's only up to Kenry right here. But it's a lost cause. You have jinxed this before. You made this happen, Desert 2. You said the 7-1 was going to be a thing.
No.
And indeed, you get one more, but it's over now. Rips gets the final one with the 5-7. And we'll be finishing things off. And Rogue looking very convincingly against a very weak-looking Na'Vi here.
It was a rough first half for Na'Vi. I'm not quite sure, again, why we saw Doki playing on the support, but it's definitely a difference to what we see them play, and maybe that was the factor of it that weighed into this one. It definitely wasn't the kind of team that we saw stepping up to play against G2, and Rogue are showing that actually the other day wasn't a fluke, it wasn't a one-off, it wasn't a flash in the pan, and then they go back to being the uncertain team that we've seen before. That was a solid performance coming out of them. The whole team doing really well, being very aggressive and shutting down Na'Vi before they could get to play their game in many of these rounds. That's the kind of stuff that you love to see.
It's definitely the kind of stuff you love to see, and I think we just have to rename ourselves to the 7-1 duo, as that's been the second one we had today. Let's throw it over to Gassan and our analysts to see what they have to say about us.
Thank you so much, Hap. Yes, the Germany-Brazil scoreline that we all expect. That's an old one there for any viewers out there. That's a throwback, that's for sure. So let's take a look at this, because, and I want to address this specifically to you in the beginning, James. Even though in the first half things looked very one-sided scoreline-wise, it didn't seem like it was the case when you actually dig into the happenings of each round.
It's crazy to think, really, that despite that going 6-0 in the first half, 3 of those rounds were 1v1, and the final one was a 2v2. It got so very close, and I want to say credit to Rogue for adopting that really aggressive playstyle, that confident playstyle. We saw spawn peek after spawn peek, a great run out from Corey where he threw his Valkyrie camera up above the stock door, got his teammate to go on it, and managed to spawn peek the Thermite of all players. And I think that information gathering and that aggression carried Rogue through their defensive half quite significantly.
I mean, Gio Kasheka was on fire today. The entire squad was working well. Leon was able to find some magnificent picks for the team. How are they able to coordinate those openings? It's been helping the team so well here for Rogue.
I mean, that's the thing. I mentioned it at the start, right? Is that Leon, not only has he come in as this great fragger, but also he's providing so much leadership to the team. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that we thought that might take them some time, and evidently hasn't taken them all that much, is the rest of the team getting used to meshing with that leadership that he is providing. And it's evidently going very, very well. I mean, consistently now, every scoreline they've had throughout EU League, the first 3 play days, has been getting better and better. And there's only so much further you can go than 7-1. But you're right. These two new players have just been doing absolutely terrifically, and it really suggests that the environment they're in is working so well for them. Evidently, these players have built up a great rapport with each other. There were already some really talented players on the team, and just bringing these new guys in, having that fresh environment has just done wonders.
And with Geo focusing so much on that teamwork that they have, James, at least Rogue, that is, Na'Vi, anything to look at after this matchup? Because the first two, even though they didn't end up in a victory, ties against Secret and G2 is still not a bad scoreline.
Yeah, but that said, I think Na'Vi are going to be kicking themselves right now and after those draws, thinking, man, if one of those rounds had gone the other way, we would be 3 points on the scoreboard. And Na'Vi, I mean, looking at some of those games and thinking, wow, there are things we did really well. You look at their G2 game, Kendrew went crazy. Kendrew also was a highlight performer today in this game, but it wasn't quite enough to carry on through. I noticed Dez in the cast talked a lot about Doki playing that Thermite, playing in a more supportive role. Now, funnily enough, Doki been a bit hit and miss so far. When he played Hibana against Secret, I guess a bit more supportive. He actually did a lot better than when he played Sledge, primarily against G2. So I think that maybe Na'Vi are still figuring out their roles. I don't know for certain. Panix has been on the team for 3 months, but he's really been struggling so far in the EU League. So I'm hoping to see something a little bit better as Na'Vi starts to figure out their issues.
I know you're trying to get ahead of yourself with APAC. I know you have it in the back of your mind, as you always do, but that's in the morning. Till then, let's recap our rankings and where we are so far. Of course, there is still one more match to go. BDS number 1, you'll see it with that victory today, is that Rogue will go up to 6 points themselves, 1 loss and 2 wins. Again, you don't go to overtime. Either you tie and get 1 point each, you lose and you get 0, or you win, which is great, and you get 3 points to add, just like BDS have been doing so far with 7-1, 7-1, 7-1. Rogue, great performance today on Clubhouse. That said, we still have one more match to go. Ladies and gentlemen, last but not least, Temper versus Vitality right after the break.